Why do you snow? Why do you snow?
Hey guys, so as you can see, it is snowing outside. And Colorado's weather is pretty bipolar, so it was nice and sunny yesterday, luckily, and I was able to go take the car out and bed in the brakes, as well as take a drive up to my friend Alex's house and grab the seat that I was purchasing. So, for some of you guys saw that my rotors were black. Of course, that black coating came off, or paint. Now they're back to now they look like normal silver rotors. I mean, that's kind of what I thought, because you can't really change the color of metal really. So the moment you start abrasing it, or causing friction on it to scrape, it'll go back to its normal color, which is silver. Some of you guys out there that didn't know that, black rotors do not really stay black. They're gonna get scraped down back to normal metal. I honestly think that was just some protective type of temporary paint on there, because even when I was trying to clean the rotors and all the brake stuff off with brake cleaner, the black paint or whatever started coming off like real easy. So if you guys know what that is, please leave it in the comments and let me know. I just honestly thought it was just some temp coating, and I knew that they were gonna go back to being silver, which was cool by me. Anyways, let's go ahead and check out the seat of the car, and we'll kind of talk about my setup right now and why it is the way it is. Here is the Sparco seat I purchased yesterday. It is an older seat. It is a Sparco Corsa Grip Tech seat, and I believe this is more catered towards rally or something of the sort. If you guys really know more about it, let me know. I still gotta look up more about it. I just kind of briefly read like the first thing that popped up about it. So also I got like some Sparco side mounts and some sliders. The reason why I got the sliders is because I want to be able to move the seat back and forth and adjust it to however I want to drive. So I may adjust it one way for the track, then one way for normal driving. I just want to have that ability to do that. I just didn't want a fixed mount seat for now until later on. But that's easy to undo. All I do is take off the slider and bolt it, and then it's back to a fixed seat. As you can see, I do have the stock seat belt. I will be using the stock seat belt with this because this car will have to be driven to and from the track. And so since I don't have a trailer, that's my only way to get there and back. So I want to be able to wear my OEM seat belt when I am driving on public roads, and then the harnesses for when I'm on the track. I went ahead and routed it through. All you do is unbolt the little bottom bolt for the bottom part of the seat belt, and then put it through the hole, and then back down, and then bolt it back in. All I do is grab, the clip and go through that hole, and then the seatbelt buckle's right there. I do not have harnesses right now, nor do I have, a harness bar or cage back there. I am not going to get a harness bar because no organization really accepts harness bars back there. And if you guys want to know what I mean, harness bars are like the one that literally just goes right here. There's probably a couple guys on YouTube that are running those, and then mainly a lot of people that do a lot of street driving or show car kind of stuff that have them, that run them. It has like a little thing that goes down right here and then comes across, and it's basically just to mount your harnesses on. That is not really safe at all. I do not recommend it. Yes, there's companies out there that make this product, but and try to swear that it's safe. But apparently that hasn't really changed the minds of most racing organizations, because even in Gridlife, the rule book states no harness bars whatsoever. You have to have either a roll bar or half cage, or a full cage, and have your harnesses mounted onto those correctly. You can't use anything that mounts towards the back, like the little Cusco thing. You can't use any of that stuff. That stuff's not recognized by these organizations as safe. So you have to run a half cage or a full cage. I will be getting one by Auto Power, I think is what it's called, or Auto Sport or something like that. It's just the half cage, or I like to call it just the roll bar. It's only for the rear part of the car, and I'm going to be getting the bolt-in option because I do not want to weld it, just in case I want to change out the cage and eventually just go full cage, and then I will weld all that in there. But most of all the organizations allow bolt-in cages, long as they're not like the show car type of bolt-in cage, and what I mean by that is like a lot of your Cusco type cages and stuff like that. A lot of those are like not allowed by name in certain organizations, so be careful about getting those. Auto Power or Auto Sport, I'll put the correct name above on this video, but that is the one that's actually acceptable. I looked it up, and most people run that one. And I don't want a full cage right now because my car's not there yet. Eventually I do want to get everything done like that, but I really don't want to cut too much out of the car to make it all fit and do all that. I'd rather just have just the half cage, just so my harnesses could at least be mounted correctly, because I'm not doing anything too crazy on the track right now, especially not any crazy wheel-to-wheel high intensity stuff. Just, you know, some open lap days, which tends to be kind of like wheel-to-wheel, but, you know, nothing too crazy. Everyone has track etiquette, so the half cage will be fine with me. I say it's better to get that, like a bolt-in one, like a bolt-in half cage, than getting some kind of harness bar that you're not even going to be able to use and it's not even safe. At least the bolt-in cage at least has multiple points where you can bolt it in, and it's actually, like I said, recognized by and allowed by most organizations. So that is going to be the next thing to do. So that's why I'm waiting on getting harnesses and all that until I get that half cage, which is a good amount of money, especially when you have to calculate the freight, shipping, and all that stuff like that that goes along with it. But that is kind of it. I'm gonna go ahead and sit in the car, and you guys can kind of see what it looks like. Fortunately, I don't really have a camera stand, so I'm gonna use my old chair as a camera stand. So I'm gonna get this adjusted, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so I am in the chair. This is about where I'm gonna be sitting. Actually, I'm gonna scoot it just a little bit forward, because there we go, so I can fully do the clutch. Hand position, you honestly kind of want it where your hands are a little bit more straight out, but this is just fine. This is kind of, at least where I like it, because I do have a shoulder injury, so sometimes me having my arms like almost fully extended is kind of like putting a lot of stress on my shoulders. So sometimes like you'll see me doing this thing is because I'm kind of trying to relax like some of the stuff in my arm, because my shoulders tend to get kind of like irritated on some turns. So I kind of do that to loosen up. But I am still keeping my thumb kind of hooked in there, but it's just kind of to relax like some of the stuff in my arm. But that's kind of where I like it, about here. The seat feels pretty good. But the next thing you also want to do, especially if you track it, is you want to make sure everything fits with your helmet on. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this on. Helmet, I'm not going to buckle it up because we're just sitting in the car. But yeah, everything is pretty good right here. I like it where it's at. Keep in mind, because you have a helmet, you're going to have limited room up and down, forward. So you want to make sure if you are tracking the car, that you, when you put the seat in, loosely bolt it in, you know, kind of snug it a little bit, just so you can have it, you know, in, and then adjust it and make sure that this is like all the adjustments are good with your helmet on as well, because you know you don't want to put this in and then all of a sudden, like, you didn't like adjust this properly, and now you're like your head's like too close to this, or you don't have enough room. So make sure you check all that. But everything seems fine. All we gotta do is wait for a track day to happen, and then we can actually get out there and do it. But that's kind of it. And then it's kind of a pain to get out, so because these bolsters are pretty high. But you know, you gotta kind of like dangle yourself out, and that's kind of it. My car is oh, let me zoom out. I'm a little zoomed in. Okay. So just, you know, quick overview of my car. My car is being built to eventually be mainly a track going car. I still got to keep it where it's streetable, because it still has to be able to be registered and be able to driven on the street, at least to stay in street mod class. That kind of brings me to the whole Time Attack thing. For Time Attack, guys, if you're trying to get into it, make sure you do your research. Don't just start throwing shit in your car and like spending a lot of money on stuff until you know what class you're trying to run. If you didn't know that, there are classes in Time Attack. Let's use Gridlife because it is one of the more easier examples. And I personally like Gridlife because it is easier to get started into racing with Gridlife. I had previous experience with, you know, track days, HPDE and all that stuff like that. So for me, I'm gonna be doing track battle this year. Last year I didn't do it when they came here to Colorado. I ended up signing up for HPDE instead. Reason being is I was going back and forth between that and track battle. Track battle I had a little bit of hesitation because I didn't know if I was good enough for it. But after a while I got comfortable and I was running the same course as they were running that day. I realized, man, I could have like stepped it up a notch and I really should have just signed up for track battle. Only problem was there wasn't a way to do it because I did not fit into really any of the classes, or at least the classes I wanted to stay at. Street mod class all-wheel drive, you can only have a maximum of a 255 tire. I have a 265, so I wasn't able to be in street mod class. As well as all the aero I have, I wouldn't even be able to drop down a class either because of the tires as well as all the aero. So street mod was the only class that I could kind of fit into without going into the super big boy category and stuff like that in terms of like a ton of mods and like a bunch of safety equipment and all the stuff that I don't really have yet. Street mod class is what I aim for. So I kind of built my car mainly for that. I've recently gone over it a bunch of times, make sure everything lines up with the rules for street mod. Even from like my splitter, I made all the measurements, made sure it fits within the rules. Made sure I have the right amount of aero in the front and back, not too much because you can only have so much in the front and back. Made sure things like my tires, which I will eventually fix. The tires are still the 265s on here, the Hancocks. I'll eventually be going down a size to 255 before the next Gridlife. So that way I can actually qualify for the street mod class. So I did have another set of tires back before that last Gridlife. The only problem was they were 265 as well, so I ended up having to sell them. So don't make the same mistake as I did. I kind of wasted money on buying tires I didn't even get to use because they were the wrong size. So if you're doing a build, the moral of the story is do your research. See what the rules are for whatever organization for their time attack events. SCCA has time trials. You have NASA as well that does time attack too. And each of those, I believe, have classes or certain specifications and requirements that you have to meet on your vehicle to be in those certain positions or classes. So make sure you build your car correctly. The last thing you want to do is be put into a class that's way above what your car can do, only because you have certain things on there that push it to be in that class. If you want to remain in a decent competitive class, then make sure you build your car to be able to stay in that decent competitive class. And that's kind of all I have to say, because I know a lot of people just kind of blindly say they're going to build a race car and they don't really realize that there are actual regulations, there are actual requirements and things you have to meet for certain classes and or certain specs for your car in order for you to do that. Open lap days don't really require that. That's just you just going out to your local track and putting down some times and just kind of doing your own thing almost in a way. So you don't really need certain, like all that kind of rule book stuff, but if you're getting into competitive driving or events like that, you will need to have those requirements met and, you know, and some of that safety equipment. But anyways, that's all I got for this video. I'll see you guys later. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell.